Welcome to the Cloud Council. My name is Mark Chillingworth. Today we're discussing building a flexible technology estate. Joining me is Dominic Howson, Head of IT and Supply Chain for the Bakers, Hovis. What was the biggest lessons in business agility you learned from that journey into a cloud-based flexible business?
I think that in terms of business agility and what it does, firstly, to my function, I think is quite an important point. You no longer have to have an operations team, a large service department overseeing the outsourcer that's running your equipment. You don't need people to operate all the commercials. So if you, for example, if you're running a large-scale on-premise architecture that is your own, that you'll need licensing and storage and operations cover. All that needs to be managed and service managed. So that gives you a layer of operating team that you need to keep an eye on that, operation. I think what I was really keen to do was get as much of it as a service as possible. So get it all bundled up. Whilst people might say, well, private cloud is just somebody else's data center. That's right, but actually it's how it's served back to you as a service, where all the elements are part of part of one deal. So you have one price, one invoice, and it's all covered within it. That's quite important for me. And so it meant that I didn't need to have a very large team when we started Hovis up in 2014. So that was a real point. That was a real point for me, and that's just in my function. But in terms of the agility piece, I think we knew that the business wasn't necessarily going to stay the same as it was in 2014. So whether we would grow or whether we would divest and focus on what was really important to us. And buying a cloud or an as-a-service platform meant that we could scale the systems back if we needed to, or upgrade them quickly without having to invest in technology in the background. Getting those as-a-service contracts back in those days, it's not a long time ago, but it's not in the history of time. But those kind of contracts where you can add and take away, and you know what the incremental cost is going to be, makes your decisions around agility and what changes you would make relatively straightforward.
And it sounds from what you're saying is that your team is actually very business focused in terms of delivering business change rather than running vendors or running tech that keeps doing the same thing day in, day out, apart from when it goes wrong.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we don't have a large team focused on infrastructure. I get quite principled about this as technology's moved on a little bit, going into different industry conversations. Obviously, it's horses for courses, but in my particular industry or my business, I would like to treat infrastructure as more of a standard proposition. You go to someone, you buy something, you know what you're going to get, and they wrap it up as a service. It's very clean. You don't need to spend ages on enterprise architecture or have I got the right size box, or does it got enough SAPs, or all that kind of thing. You can start small and scale up. And actually, I can focus the business, my guys, on actually, it's a very twee word, but the value add bit, trying to fix business problems, and some of the things I'll talk about a little bit later in terms of actually how we can take new technology on and solve business problems with it, rather than having to worry about, do I need to refresh my infrastructure stack in 6 months' time, or am I going to run out of storage, or have I got enough CPUs to last me through Christmas? That kind of focus. It changes the dial on how your organisation works.
Dom, thank you very much. Really useful insights. Thank you for watching, and join us next time on the Cloud Council.